Welcome to Nick's Tips, where I give you my tip. What? Basically, we're going to be going over how to model, rig, and scale properly your model in order for it to work in Unreal Engine. Because I've seen a lot of tutorials go over the basic concepts, but they don't go over how to properly set it to work in Unreal Engine. And it's genuinely pretty easy, but because they're not trying to make it into Unreal, it's not very helpful. So basically what you're going to do is you're just going to model out whatever the heck you want to make. It could be like a super polished and finished model, but I'm just going to put a bunch of blocks together and call it a day. There are, however, two methods that people use. Some people, they make it into one specific model, and others, they put it into separate parts. I like to make them into separate parts because it's easier to weight paint. Weight painting is something I'll go over a little later in the video, but basically, it's easier to weight paint if it's separated, but it's gonna look a little less unrealistic. And if you're going for like realism and stuff, then it's probably better for you to use it all in one part rather than multiple objects clamped together. But in indie, most of the time, you're gonna be using parts. As you can see right here, I'm trying to set it above the X portion of the view here, because if you have it set underneath that point, you're gonna screw yourself over. It'll be like underneath the the map in Unreal Engine, and occasionally you can ignore that rule and have the root be there, but when you're animating, it's best to have at least something there to see as like, oh, this is the floor. And so when you're trying to animate like a walk cycle or something, you can just have that there instead. So pretty much when you have your cool as hell model ready to go, you're gonna press Control A and apply all transforms. That'll pretty much set the origin point of all of your objects to one small point there. And if you have it over the X and Y portion of the viewport, then you're pretty much good to go. And so when you press A and S, you'll be able to scale it up. But to set it to the proper scale, you want to get the armature of the human meta rig. And if you don't have that, you just got to enable the plugin real quick. You don't got to worry about downloading something from another website. You can just go to edit and then preferences, open add-ons, and then search for Rigify and enable that plugin right there. Once you have that, you should have the option there. So again, add armature human meta rig, and there it is. The human rig right here is basically going to be like the standard size. So this guy, we're just going to make him at like hip height here. And there you go. That's pretty much the scale that we're going to have this guy at. So you can go ahead and delete that real quick. But it's still going to be super big because Blender's size is very different from Unreal. So in the scene port here, we're going to go to units and unit scale. We're going to set it to 0.01 because the scale of Unreal, that is the scale for it. So after setting this, it's going to end up really freaking small. So you're going to press A, S, 100, and pretty much what that did is you selected all of the objects, you started to scale it, and you moved it up by 100. And so on the top left, you can see like the scales of, or the scale numbers specifically. After you set this up, you're gonna go and check again on the front view if it's above the X and Y. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna screw you guys over if you don't do this right. If it's above it, then Control A, apply all transforms, and there you go. It's gonna be at the correct scaling that you set your character at, and now you're ready to rig it normally with regular bones. The thing is, when you first add bones, it's basically going to be really small, so you're gonna have to scale it up. I set it by like 45 because it's already really big. Immediately apply your transform after adding the bone because it's still gonna be really small, and you're gonna forget about it later. Just apply a transform immediately, right? When you're trying to rename your stuff, do not rename the thing from armature. Don't ever do that. I got into the habit of renaming my bones in object mode. Never do that. It's gonna add like a bone in Unreal Engine, and it's just gonna ruin everything. So always be sure you're in edit mode. When you're in edit mode, you can rename it. Object mode, do not rename it. Okay, only in edit mode. So Pretty much after adding your bone, you're going to rename this one to root. This one's going to stay right at the center. You're going to add another thing up here, but you're going to see like, oh, it's not in view anymore. So pretty much what you're going to do to make it always in view is you're going to go to, not bone, this is wrong. What is he doing? Armature, yeah. You're going to go to there, and then you're going to go to viewport display and set it to in front. And there you go. Now all your bones are always going to be on the top layer of your view. And then you're going to go back to the bone section and then connect this bone to root. And be sure, if your bone jumped towards the thing on the bottom, just be sure the connected tick isn't enabled. And then you're going to shift D, duplicate this other bone to add stuff to the legs. Connect this one back to the body, and then call this one leg.l actually, because there's a quick tip. There's a quick Nick tip coming up later involving the naming of these, right? And so once I figure out how to properly subdivide a leg, you're going to match the ballpoints with the joints on where the positions would be on your rig. Pretty much when you're creating these, though, be sure that you disable the roll, or not disable, but set the roll back to 0. To do that, once you set your stuff in their proper positions, you press N, and you see that roll section there. Just change that to 0 for each individual bone. The reason you want to do this is because there are moments where the bone will start doing junk, and you're like, why the hell is it rolling or bending in this direction? And it's because you didn't change the roll back to 0. Pretty much the naming convention of these: take your bones, rename them to whatever you want. .l. The reason why you want to do this is because a later step involves you symmetrizing, and it takes all the .l's and swaps it out with .r and puts it on the opposite side on the y portion. And it's a really helpful step. It's a really helpful step. Once you do all this, you're pretty much going to do the exact same thing for the arm. Same steps, just arm instead. One thing I forgot to mention was to make the root bone not deformed. I believe I didn't mention that, but if I did, comment, wow, Nick, you idiot, you did say that, and now you're saying it again for no reason. But pretty much, right now we're pretty much going to just work on IKs. We're going to take the joint from the knee area and extrude it, take it out, connect it to the root bone, disable its connection, and make it non-deformed. Go to the heel, do the exact same thing, remove its connection, make its parent the root bone, and get rid of its deform. But don't move this one. The knee joint you can move forward, by the way, but the heel don't move it. We're gonna rename the heel to probably foot IK, foot target IK.L. We're still going to do the .Ls because we're still doing the symmetrization. So the other one we're going to call foot pole. This will make it easier for us to identify which poles to use, or which bones we're going to reference later. Same thing for the hands. We're going to get the joint from where the elbow usually would be, but we're not doing that because we have a weird arm. So instead, we're just going to do it from where the hand extrudes from. Same thing as the other steps: root, disable the connected, get rid of the deform, and then extend it out the other way. This is where the elbow would be on the arm. For the hand, it's a little different. We're gonna duplicate the hand, right click, and then you're gonna see it has 0.001. That is the hand that we want. We're gonna try to grab the head end here. There it is, and then we're gonna press G, X, and then make it slightly bigger than the one that was underneath it. And then we're going to grab that hand, rename it to hand IK.L. Boom, there you go. And then the pole, same thing. This is going to be arm pole .L. And then for all the others, we're just disable the deform. I forgot to do it here, and this will be evidence as to why. Gonna go back to pose mode, grab the arm bit, and then put inverse kinematics. Usually the one that you want would be before the hand IK. So we're gonna select the bones or the armature, and this one's gonna be the target. So the target would be the hand IK. Usually I would put like the target, but the target is basically the ones that you're gonna be dragging around all the time. For the pole target, same thing. Choose the armature you want. Put the bone that you want for it. So it's gonna be the one that we created, the arm pole, and then your thing's gonna spits out like this. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You just gotta change the change length to the length of your arm. This is a 1 arm length, so it's gonna be 1. Usually human arms we're gonna have 2 bones, so it would have 2, but this one we only have 1, so we're good to go here. And so now in pose mode, when you grab the arm, it should work completely terribly because I forgot to do a step, and that would be in edit mode. I go back to bone, disable deform. Boom, that's why you gotta disable deform, and now it should work perfectly if I wasn't an idiot, because it doesn't work due to one specific thing. I had forgotten to go back into this section here and disable, or not disable, but I forgot to go in and change it to the parent, to the root. You gotta remember every step. Every step is important. If you don't remember a single step, then it's gonna ruin everything, man, guys. Come on. So now, after trial and error, boom, there it is. Usually it would be like connected right to where it's at, but because there's no 2 joints, it's just gonna be like this instead, which is fine. It's fine for what we're doing here, but usually you'd want 2 bones for this IK to work properly. Luckily, the legs down here have 2 bones, so it's gonna be the exact same thing. Choose the one right before the target hand, add the bone constraint IK, choose the armature you want, choose the target for the leg, so that one's going to be the heel IK or the foot IK. Same thing for pole target, choose the armature, choose the one that we got, chain length, there's 2 bones for it, and then once you do all that junk, you should be able to drag it around in pose mode with the target. Boom, there you go. It's following it, but the reason why it's not bending is because of the way I made the bones. I made them perfectly straight, and the computer doesn't know where it wants to move. So you can go back to edit mode, grab the joint, and move it slightly forward to give it support. And so now, when you go back into pose mode and try it again, it works perfectly fine, the way it should be. And there you go. That's how you make IKs. That's pretty awesome. Whoa, slow down there. You're getting a little too excited there, buddy. Now that we have all of the bones set up properly, we can go back into edit mode and click and drag over all of the bones, right click and go to symmetrize, and boom, because you had named all of them .l, all the bones should have symmetrized. If one didn't symmetrize the right way, it is because you didn't rename it to .l, so you can pretty much just drag over the left side, delete it all, rename it, and then do it again. So as you can see, I went back to object mode and added a circle, and I'm grabbing all the dots here. Pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm creating a base for the root bone because it's super annoying. What you can do is you can make it any shape you want, but I like to do this portion here where it looks really cool. I think it looks cool. This is pretty much going to be the replacement for the root bone. So we're going to take the root. It doesn't have to be in this mode. You can do it in object mode, but you're going to go to the armature, click the bone, go to custom object in the viewport display, and select the circle that we created. It's going to be invisible. It's not invisible. It's actually super big. So in order to fix that, we're going to go to the bone where we did the custom objects and set the scale back to 0.01 on all 3. And it should come back and be like at the wrong angle. So we go to rotation, X, and rotate it by 90, and boom, there you go. There is your root bone. So now it looks like that instead of a bunch of other bones. You don't have this random bone in the middle that you're fighting for dominance on. And whenever you drag this, the whole rig moves. Pretty much what we're going to do now is parent the bones to the mesh. So you just select all of the mesh and then the bones with shift, and then control P automatic weights, and it shouldn't do this. It's only because of the positioning of the bones that allowed it to do this. But right now we're just gonna ignore it for a quick sec. We're gonna go to object mode, press shift on the bones, and then on our mesh on the part that we want to do, and then go to weight paint mode. Once we do that, we'll be able to see which bones are affecting which. You can press control on any bone and you'll swap to that bones view. And this part right here where you're painting, it's rather annoying because you're gonna see a bit where it's like, oh, I can't see that bit, and you gotta like zoom in over and over. What you can do is you can go to tools on the right, go to fall off, and put projected symmetry. You can choose if you want it to be on the same on either side, but I don't really use that one that much because most of my stuff isn't symmetrical. You go to advanced and turn off front face only, and that allows you to paint through everything that you can see. So you can choose which bone you want, and the weight on there you can say, oh, I want no weight, so choose this one. I don't want any weight. I don't want any weight. This one, you see this? No weight. I don't want weight. Boom, there you go, painting. There you go. You're painting. You're weight painting. You're a weight paint master. That's how you do it. And so if you see like pink, that's because that bone that you chose doesn't have any deformities. So when you try to weight paint on those, it usually doesn't work. But if you try to weight paint on it, it will allow you to. Just be sure you don't touch that. If you do, you're probably just gonna ruin everything, like how I ruined everything else. But there you go. Now that once you have all this done, you can grab the targets, and now you can see that they follow the mesh. You can see that it's occasionally messing with the other stuff, but that's just weight painting. Usually, if an animation is messing up in Unreal Engine, it's because of your weight painting. The weight painting is very key to every animation that you put in, and if it looks fine on Blender, but then in Unreal it looks absolutely god-awful, it's because of your weight painting. Now when you're animating, you can go to the bottom of your screen and you can see this section here where it says dope sheet. You can go to action editor in that drop down menu, and now you can edit new actions and stuff. Be sure when you're animating though, you're always in pose mode for the armature. If you accidentally click a block and start animating it, then you are pretty much gonna animate that block and not the armature, and when you import it, it's going to be a different animation, and it's just going to ruin everything. So be careful when you're animating. Pretty much what you're going to do here is you're going to grab a bone and set its position. Once you have a spot that you want it to be at, you can mess around with it and stuff. But once you have a position that you want it to be at, you're going to press I, and then you're going to this drop down menu should pop up. If it doesn't, it's fine. Then you put lot and scale. Once you do all that junk, you move your thing here, move it up a little bit, grab the bone again, move it wherever the heck you want. Lock, rot, and scale, and then move it to the last position that you want it to be in, wherever you want. You can put it super high up, but really it's gonna be like a blend of your animations in Unreal Engine. So this is a bit this is a bit abysmal. So you probably shouldn't have it be that crazy high up. So instead you're just gonna delete that and drag it back to a newer position. Press I, lock, rot, and scale. And there you go. That's gonna be where it's at. And so if you want it to be like a loopable animation, you go copy the first frame and then paste it right there. I press Control C and Control V. It's the same basic principle. And so now, if this animation were to be playing over and over again, it would pretty much be just that same basic loop. And that's pretty much an animation. But remember this. Remember this, and remember this always, friends. Every time you do an animation and you think, all right, I'm done for the day, I'm going to get off of Blender, you got to always be sure to press the shield icon that's located to the right of what you titled the thing. Always press that, because you think you're safe, and then you close out of the thing, and then you come back in to see your animation, or you want to make a new one. It's gone. That shield icon is the reason. Never forget that shield icon. No tutorial has ever mentioned it before. I don't know why, but that icon is everything. Pretty much when you're done with all that, you're going to go to File, Export, Export FBX, and then you're going to choose your file location that you want to put it in, you know, for your exports and stuff. Title it anything you want. I have an operator preset, which is Ue5 that I have saved. You can, if you want to make an operator preset, just set your stuff first and then press that plus icon and then title it whatever you want. This is the settings that I have. I have selected objects, armature mesh. The transform is set to 1. All local Y4Z up. Apply units. Use space transform. You can change it to whatever you want, but I have it here like that. It's just easier for me. For bake animation, if you have any animations, you can set that to unticked if you don't have any. Just pretty much just copy and paste this stuff. This is usually the stuff that I have every single time that I do it, and it works. Sometimes when I mess with these settings, it just don't work. But yeah, is what it is. And so once you're done with all that, you can export FBX. Once you're done. But be sure that when you are exporting, you have all your objects that you want exported selected there. Back in Unreal, pretty much what you're going to do is check if you're have like an import folder. I always have like an import folder set and ready. And so you're going to right click on your content browser, go to import. These two options here, if you don't have it selected in Blender, then all this stuff might not appear. But if you do have it, then you're just going to click import all. And all your stuff should appear just dandy, fine, beautiful. Drag it in to check it out. Boom, there it is. And so you can see here, I don't have any, any materials set on the thing. If you have materials set on your characters, then that'll appear. But as you can see, the animation's playing beautifully. The feet clip through the ground because you need to set the rotation of your animation back on top of the flooring. But all in all, that's pretty much how you get your stuff into Unreal Engine. And if it didn't work, you just pop a comment down below and tell me why you why you think I can't help you. I'm just kidding. But if you are having any issues with this, then pop a comment down below. Say your problem, and I'll try to help you out. I'll try to help y'all out. We'll see. We'll see where things go. By the window. On the window. Do you see me? Can you see me? Can you see me? What's the point of Nick tips? I can't. I always give tips, but where's my tips? Give me your tips, guys. Give me your tips.